CEO of Ingenix Digital Marketing, and I'm up here with Stacy Collett from Dollarbill Printing. And this is LA2M. Is there anyone here for your very first LA2M? First timer? Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. I think there was another first timer. Oh, she's right there. She stepped away. But thanks for coming. You know, we do meet every Wednesday. And we usually get a few more people. I'm not sure if it's the rain that kept them away or what, but yeah, Sean. Sean's saturated. He speaks everywhere, every day, every weekend, but no, not really. But anyways, we are happy for you guys that came. Feel free to follow us on LinkedIn. Join us on Facebook. We have a group there. We have an email list, which if you're new, you'll get on the email list. And our email list actually goes out to around 2,000 people in Southeast Michigan every week, so it's really great. So for all you around there, you should get the updates. Stacy's up here because LA2M, Stacy's our treasurer. LA2M is a 501c3 nonprofit. So again, it's we have no membership dues, and it's free to attend. But we do pass the hat. So we ask if you have a few bucks, throw it in. That's great. That kind of funds our organization and helps us stay afloat, so to speak. So Stacy's going to pass the hat. Thank you, Stacy. And we also have sponsors, and sponsorships are a real important part of our program because our sponsors, again, help us pay for things. And you know, we're all volunteer. You know, so Roger volunteers every week to film. Carter volunteers to take photos. Stacy volunteers her time to be our treasurer. I volunteer. I have an intern, Caitlin, that volunteers, and we all kind of volunteer to make this run. But our sponsors actually help us with some costs. And we actually had an employee last year. She's no longer an employee, but we're probably going to need to hire another person to keep it running because it's a lot of work to keep it running. So our sponsor this month is the Search Marketing Workshop. Bud Gibson, let him talk about that for a minute.
Sure. So this year's our third annual Search Marketing Workshop. We sold out twice last week, so we're fully sold out now. But I'm here to remind you, if you've already signed up, and I see a few people who have signed up, furthermore, we do have a wait list, and we're probably going to let some people in off the wait list. So, you know, if you haven't signed up and are interested in coming, come. Now, let me pitch it to you, though. Okay, this is going to be really your answer to how to integrate your digital marketing channels. So you think of search and social, you think of the content you produce, how do you use that to create an effective presence for yourselves on the web and lead customers to your door. We're going to have industry experts. We're going to have the VP of Marketing of Quicken Loans who spends $6 million a month on pay-per-click advertising. And then we're going to have a number of noted, and they also have a noted program in social network, social media marketing. So we're going to, and then we're going to have people from other smaller organizations and Google too. So I look forward to seeing you there. If you're interested, then you get a chance to sign up, talk to me after the event today. Sean, for 2 years, was a presenter there. Probably will come back in the future. Well, we didn't.
You gotta mix it up.
You gotta mix it up. There you go.
All right. So thank you, Bud, for being a sponsor. And we did just sign up a December sponsor, which is great. So if you are a sponsor, you get to come to the meetings and talk about your stuff. You get a banner in our email, which goes out to, like I said, around 2,000 people in Southeast Michigan, so it's great value. It's only $250. So if you do want to be a sponsor, if you got something coming up, if you have a business you want to promote, let me know, and we'll get you on the schedule. We already have December, but we're looking for January, February, so just talk to Stacy or I. Another way to sponsor, Bank of Arbor sponsored us for t-shirts. Sean, you want to come up and get a t-shirt real quick? We'll get a quick picture. We're going to get a photo op. See, this is all live. Quick picture.
Got 3 of you this time.
Yeah, we did. So the Bank of Ann Arbor bought us t-shirts. Thank you, Rhonda. Thanks, Bank of Ann Arbor. They always say Bank of Ann Arbor helps, and they really do. That's my bank.
No, I didn't. I want to know Stacy to come back.
Oh, you didn't get that picture. But yeah, Bank of Ann Arbor does help. They're a great business bank. And why don't you guys just take a picture? I'll finish this up. So what else? Well, so I guess I just introduced the speaker. For anyone who's new, the format of this meeting is the speaker will talk for around 30 minutes or so. There may be some time for Q&A. And then at 12:45 we'll get to do introductions, so you will get to introduce yourself. And we always finish at 1 o'clock, so you'll be out here by 1, right? So that way for your scheduling. And today we wanted to bring a friend. How many of you brought a friend today? Brought a friend? Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the effort. Thank you all for your broad friends. So anyways, without further ado, today's speaker, longtime friend of mine, I guess, in the business. I've known him since I came to Ann Arbor. Sean Hickey runs an agency called PWB, a marketing agency. He's a great guy. He's a guy that I see at like Tom Petty concerts. And he's a guy that he does cool things like go fishing with his dad. He's really into fishing and outdoor things, and it's fun to follow him. But he's also, in addition to being a social, outdoorsy kind of guy, he's a marketing expert. And he's going to talk today about marketing ROI, and is it a myth? And then you can see the Yeti up there. So
I just found it this morning.
Yeah, he found the Yeti this morning. So let's give Sean Hickey a big round of applause. Welcome him.
Thanks, Derek. Okay, is this thing not working?
It's good.
Okay, we're good. All right, cool. So I'm going to offer the disclaimer today. I went to the fancy PowerPoint, you know, with progressive reveals and getting all theatrical and stuff, and that only works if I click it. So if I'm like talking about something and you don't get it, say stupid, click the button. So as Derek mentioned, my name is Sean Hickey. I'm Chief Operating Officer of PWB Marketing Communications. And before you ask, we say it stands for Print, Web, and Branding. It actually used to stand for 3 guys' names, but we got tired of answering that question. So marketing ROI is this big thing that we're all whipped up over, and I've got a little different perspective on it. One that I think probably isn't going to be very popular with marketers, but here we go. So tell me a little bit about yourselves. Stick your hand up. How many of you have MBAs in finance or accounting or some financially related discipline? That's about the number I was expecting. How about some sort of strong background in either finance, accounting, those areas? Okay, Bud's our token quantitative guy. And how many of you are marketing knuckleheads like me? Got into this because you got an English major or communications degree, or you're like me, you got part of like 6 degrees, and you went, hey, I built an integrated marketing communications degree because I got most of the business degree and part of the fine arts and photography, and I dabbled in broadcasting, and presto, I run an ad agency. When you deal with C-level folks, when you deal with that CFO, that CEO, they come at the world in a whole different way than we do. My dad's one of them. I grew up with this. My dad can walk through a house that's on the market and can tell you in his head to within $10 what the mortgage payment's going to be. And he's right most of the time. These are the kinds of people that we're dealing with. So, you know, here we all are in this kind of soft science, and here they all are in this very quantitative world. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through a little bit of how I think that marketing ROI is a real different thing than we've all talked ourselves into, and try to give you a little more realistic framework for how I think we ought to think about it. So Wikipedia is awesome because everything out there is true and accurate and always the best. But you know, I find a lot of times it's a good place to go get a definition. And Wikipedia's definition was ROI is the concept of an investment of some resource yielding a benefit to the investor. A high ROI means the investment gains compare favorably to investment cost. As a performance measure, ROI is used to evaluate the efficiency of an investment or to compare the efficiency of a number of different investments. In purely economic terms, it's one way of considering profits in relation to capital invested. Anybody see anything in there that looked like marketing language at all? Yeah, I didn't either. So ROI, in most cases in business school, they teach you it's the ratio of dollars invested to revenue returned, or it's the payback period on some investment that you're going to make, or it's some other methodology that some MBA dreamed up and wrote a big book about and made a bunch of money on. So I'm going to walk you through an ROI example. This is kind of been amusing for me because I also, one of my other gigs is I'm adjunct faculty in the business department at Kettering University. So I teach engineers marketing, which is a whole other world. And yeah, so this is kind of how that world works. So let's talk about Widget Co. I come up with great company names, by the way. It's why I have a partner for naming projects. So Widget Co. makes little plastic ears for a variety of uses. Their plant managers like to buy another injection molding machine that'll double their capacity. Which is cool, because I work for a couple of companies that make plastic machinery, so maybe they'll buy one of the plants. The machine and the tooling cost $500,000. And they currently can produce 10,000 widgets per hour per machine. Okay? There's our data. All right, so I hate story problems, but that's what ROI is. It's one giant story problem. How many of you elementary school story problems came out? You're like, oh God, can we do geography or history or something else? And by the way, if I got any math wrong in here, I just dabbled in business. I didn't get a degree. So 10,000 years times $1 each, $10,000 per shift. Okay, cool there. Materials and labor cost 50 cents each, so that's half, 50% margin. Not totally unrealistic in manufacturing.
What does the margin mean?
It's the percentage that's left after your direct costs.
Your profit? No?
Well, like in the agency business, we call it adjusted gross income. So it's what's left after your direct expenses, but before your indirect expenses like rent and insurance and taxes and all those other things. But just for purposes of this example, because I'm mathematically impaired and I can make these numbers work, let's say you're running 50% margin. So you're running 3 shifts a day, because we do that in manufacturing now. We're got to compete, and that's $5,000 a day extra that we'll get out of this machine. Okay? So far, everybody hanging with me? The CFO's 3 steps ahead of me, by the way. 5 days a week times $15,000, 75 grand a week. Payback period or ROI on that machine, a little over 7 weeks, 7.25. Fairly simple calculation, right? So let's talk about marketing. Let's compare marketing to that. Widget Co knows an awful lot of stuff. They know all their direct costs. They know what that new piece of equipment they bought cost exactly. They know how many more units it'll produce. They know all of these things. When you're building a marketing campaign, do you know all of those things? I work with very few clients who do. They have one measure of success. How many more widgets can I make? That's about it. Anybody run marketing programs where you have one measure of success? If so, I'd like you as a client, please. Widget Co has direct correlations that are easy to measure. It's easy to say, I buy this machine, it makes this many more parts, that makes me this much more money. Gee, I ran this print ad in the Wall Street Journal. Can I somehow correlate that? How do I correlate that back to getting not just leads, but all the way through to new business? I've seen precious few organizations who can do it. I've seen a couple. But even those, they were working on a lot of assumptions. And they've got a linear equation. There's one set of variables, and x times y equals z. In our world, x times y divided by q over a squared equals z plus 1. But it just doesn't work like that. But that CFO, that CEO, that quantitative person that you're dealing with, that's the way they look at the world. And I think the reality is, it's probably, the reality is that when we get ourselves all wound around the axle over ROI, we need to be careful who our audience is. Now, I'm not saying, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, I'm not saying don't have data, don't do things to try to track the results. But what I am saying is that I think we end up getting ourselves not just in trouble, but really in not the most positive light with some of the senior management who maybe don't understand, because they're used to evaluating ROI like Widget Co does. They're used to going, okay, I'm going to buy one of these, I'm going to spend X, I'm going to get Y, my profit will be Z. So we face a bunch of challenges in marketing that people in manufacturing don't. For example, I work with a lot of manufacturing clients, and for us, for example, do any of you have one single dashboard you can roll all your metrics up into? I have a friend who's VP of marketing for a Fortune 100 company, and he and I have talked about that one day we're going to invent one. And actually, my client works for a software company, and they have a product that would probably do it. So if I ever had enough spare time to put my thoughts together, we'd go invent this thing. There's nothing out there. You're using cloud and Google Analytics and Salesforce.com and all these other Eloqua and Marketo and all this other crap that doesn't talk to each other. Again, in the manufacturing world with the integrated organization, bam, they can tell you right away how it works. The larger the program you're running in marketing, the more variables you have to account for. Because now I got all those disparate systems. Oh, I'm running an ad campaign in addition to my pay-per-click. Oh, I got a mobile campaign and that runs on another platform. All these just give me more and more variables. And then you get things like, gee, do I count cost creative? That included in there in my ROI calculations. Or is it just my media cost? If I got people on my in-house team executing and I'm not necessarily paying for them, but I'm paying them out of payroll, well, now I got that cost. Do I count that cost or not count that cost? So I'm going to keep trying to do it. And then the other one is the last touch phenomenon. Who of you are familiar with this? Well, I don't know this. So pay-per-click got all hot recently because it does really well in the last touch phenomenon. You see all these clients who go, I'm going to stop doing all my marketing. All I'm going to do is Google AdWords because it's the only thing I can show ROI for. No, it's the only thing you can measure. But what you don't know is they saw your ad and they got your direct mail piece and they saw you at a trade show and then they went and searched on something that was relevant and your name came up and they went click. Well, now all of a sudden Google AdWords is the shit because it generated that lead. Look at that. That's Google AdWords. It's awesome. That's all we should do. So again, another complication in tracking ROI. And then finally, we all work in the science of the unpredictable human brain. We're all in this world of either making somebody aware of something they didn't know they needed or persuading them to look at another solution or any of a variety of things where we're really dealing with human personas, we're dealing with emotions, we're dealing with quantitative sides of this. It's a lot more complicated than a manufacturing situation, which is a pretty linear world. So what I'm going to propose is there's some new semantics. I'm also a hunter, so, oh, and by the way, no fish pictures today. If any of you have come to this stuff before, I got no fish pictures in here, so sorry. Traditional ROI terms, CFOs, CEOs, those kinds of folks, they're really more like using a rifle. You kind of know right where that thing's going, and it's pretty easy to tell where it went. Whereas those of us in marketing, we live in the land of the shotgun. We throw a bunch of stuff out there, and it's within a prescribed circle, but it's not, one overlapping another. It's kind of like, okay, we got pretty close on that one, and we can sort of tell that it worked. So the reality for me is, and I talk to students about this actually at Kettering, that we really can't show ROI in terms that a senior level executive would really take seriously. If we get in a room with a CFO who doesn't like us, they can pretty much knock the wind out of our sails pretty fast. So the reality is, I think that we need to find some new terms for those, and I'm not going to give you the magic term because I don't have a magic bullet. I think the magic bullet is really what's appropriate to your situation or your organization. Some people call them dashboards, some people call them metrics, some people call them KPIs. Whatever it is you call them, I think that's okay. But really my premise is that I think that this concept of ROI has some real challenges for us as marketers. So why worry about it? One, I think we make those senior level financial and CEO types respect us less. I think they look at us and they got this marketing people that come in and they wave a bunch of numbers around, and ultimately when you push them a little bit, they're full of crap. Well, that's because of all the soft factors that we just talked about. So maybe if we move away from this model of saying, I can absolutely tell you that every dollar you put in resulted in this many dollars in revenue. You can't. Just not in terms that would ever satisfy them or that you could ever prove. And then the second one, I like this one, this is fun for me because I get to take a knock at those financial people. We teach them bad habits. You start talking to them about ROI and all of a sudden they think, cool, I can calculate dollars in and dollars out. And marketing is this immediate thing, and it happens. I put dollars in and revenue comes out, and it's like a machine. How often does that work for all of you in marketing? Yeah, it's the same here. So, all right, cool, now I've just blown up your whole model, and you're going, awesome, I heard this guy, now what do I do? So one of the things I tell people is take a look at the metrics you have and start using them. I'm astounded at the number of organizations that I work with who really ultimately don't go back and use their metrics. I was out with a fairly decent sized company in the technology space a few weeks ago, and we're talking to them about doing a new website, and I asked, do you guys have Google Analytics on your website? It's like 20 people in the room. Yeah, you know, I think so. Do you have to log in for that? Yeah, if you have a website and it has Google Analytics on it and you're not looking at it at least once a week and you're in marketing, you ought to be unemployed. It was astounding. Ultimately, we went round and round with this client for a little while, and we found out that nobody during the past year, including the people in marketing, had ever gone and bothered to look at the Google Analytics. And I got a dozen more of these stories, so unless you think I'm making one up just randomly, it happens all the time. Now, to the other end, don't go overboard. I have one client at a manufacturing company who's I think he's got an MBA, law degree, and a bunch of other fancy stuff. And I showed him Google Analytics. I swear we lost him for a week because he went off into data wandering, and he was so fascinated with what he could learn. You know, wow, I get a lot of left-handed people in Brazil going to my website. Group your metrics into some sort of dashboard. And like I said, until my buddy and I invent this one that rolls all that stuff up, and I get rich and go fishing all the time instead of coming here. There are lots of tools you can use. To be honest, Excel's about the best one out there. It rolls stuff up pretty nicely. It's pretty simple, and you can format it into something that you can train your leadership team to be looking at. You know, PowerPoint's not so bad, but it's not as automated. It won't do cool stuff like pivot tables. We all sort of work in this world of marketing, and then there's this other group of people out there, and they're called sales. And they sort of act like we're a nuisance, and we sort of act like they're morons. And the reality is, I used to work for a guy, my first job out of grad school, who said if you go on a sales call and they buy something, it's selling. And if they don't, it's marketing. I spent my whole career trying to live that down. Obviously, this was a sales guy. I'm astounded at the number of organizations where sales doesn't talk to marketing and marketing doesn't talk to sales. So one of the things I would say is those metrics, one really key thing is go talk to sales leadership and say, what numbers matter to you guys? Because you know they have to report on numbers. They live in that world. They get paid on it. So they care more than anybody else. So if you can come to sales and say, I like to align my metrics to the ones that are important to you, they're going to dig that. They're going to be all about that. So, you know, now, unless, of course, you point out that your marketing organization is doing a fantastic job and they do a really crappy job of following up on leads. Not that that ever happens. And then understand and support your data. And we're going to talk about this a little more in just a minute. But there's stuff going on in your data that you'll find that's just really cool, that'll amaze you. This same client who got lost in Google Analytics for a week, one of the things we found out was once a month, their web traffic had this gigantic spike. And I mean, it was always pretty solid, and then wham! Their parts and service group, who sells upgrades to the machinery that these guys manufacture, does a monthly e-newsletter. Sure enough, went back, correlated all of them, and it's like, hey, that's when Mark's e-newsletter goes out. Huh, that's working. Maybe we should do more of that. So let's talk a little bit about the value of data. Configuring your tools is important. You know, for example, Google Analytics has got all these cool things you can do with it, with conversion goals and setting up campaigns and doing all those things. And you know, there's probably a bullet point that goes before this that I forgot, which is figure out what the hell you care about. Because if you know what you care about, then you'll be able to come up with some strategies so you can measure. So once you come up with those strategies, then you set up your tools so you say, okay, I'm looking at the stuff I care about, and you know, I'm not looking at the stuff that I don't care about, or I'm only looking at that occasionally. I get asked all the time, what are industry standard best practices for banner click-throughs, for paid search click-throughs, for people who call 800 numbers off of billboards for trade shows, for whatever. It doesn't matter. It's different in every industry and in every scenario. And getting wrapped around the axle over industry standards is just going to keep you up nights. What's important is, how are you doing relative to your own data? Was this campaign twice as good as that last campaign? Good job. Was this campaign 10% of the last campaign? Not good. Probably don't do that again. Those are the sorts of things that I really find is that as you start to have this data and have some history and build some of this, you know, you learn from all of this and you're able to say, you know, wow, this worked really well with this audience. For example, I've got a new client in the software industry that I'm doing some strategy for. I was talking to them last night, and one of the things that they asked me was, do live webinars do better than on-demand webinars? And my answer was the always popular, it depends. So one of the things they came up with for them was, you know what, they ran this one as a live webinar once for each of these 2 webinars, and then they're going to run it a second time as another live event. And then for the third one, let's run one as a live event and one as an on-demand event, and let's see how they did. Again, data. But I'm pretty sure you're a big believer in data.
Well, A/B testing like that is pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of anytime you can think of something to A/B test, you'll gain a lot of insight. And you know, a lot of times you'll find out it doesn't matter.
What is A/B testing?
So if you say, for example, I'm running a banner ad on the website, and I'll do 2 versions of that banner ad, and I'll see which one does better. And in some cases, I will let you in on a little secret, people on the internet are stupid. Sorry, it's true. We used to do a lot of work for a surgical group, and what they would do is go into a new geographic market, and they'd come in and they'd kind of burn through media. They'd start with one medium and then move to the next one and then move to the next one as they burned them out. And online eventually became a really big piece for them. What we would see with these guys was they'd run a banner ad, and it'd, you know, pick up some steam and get up there and really nice click-throughs and then start to tail off. All we had to do was change the background color, and it'd go right back up. People are stupid on the internet. Hey, look, that's new. No, it's just red and it was green before. But, you know, there's a good A/B test, or another A/B test that's real common. I kind of came out of the world of direct marketing, where it's, you know, the list of creative to offer. One real common A/B test is give them a different offer. You know, attend a free webinar versus download a white paper. See which one does better, you know, for your audience, for your segment. But test some of those things and learn from some of those things, and it'll take you a long way. So I guess I already skipped ahead to this one. The value of data builds over time. The more data you have, the more valuable it is. The more you're able to say, oh, you know, we did a program like this in the middle of last year. Let's see how this one did versus that one. Or, okay, we've been doing all this in the healthcare vertical market, and now we got to go to automotive. That's probably a bad example because automotive thinks they're not like anything. But, you know, okay, well, what did we learn here that worked? Or what can we try in that market that worked? Another one that I commonly tell people is, you know, is watch for trends. So, as a good example, you know, my client, where we saw the spikes every time they sent out parts and emailers. There you go. That's, you know, that's an important trend. Things like creative burnout. Metrics are a good place to start to measure that, where you can find who have been running this ad for too long. By the way, almost no advertiser ever burns out creative, because we all have marketing ADD. We get shiny penny. I'm sick of my ads. I want new ones out there. Poof. We got all new ads in the marketplace. And the marketplace just barely started to notice them. So there you go. That's kind of today's overview. And my friend the Yeti's back, because I think marketing ROI is a Yeti. I don't think it really exists. Questions, comments, random rants?
Hi. I don't know if you can show us, what does a dashboard look like? Is it a graph?
I think it really depends. I think it depends on what kind of data you're trying to measure. You know, are you familiar with Google Analytics?
Yeah.
Google Analytics is a dashboard in a way. It's a dashboard for your website. I don't actually have an example with me of one, and the only one that I have that springs right to mind I could show you, but I'd have to kill you. So, But I think it could be graphs. I think, a lot of it, and this is one of the things that we've learned over the years, is that a dashboard looks like what it needs to look like for your organization. If you're an organization that's really into the visualization of data, it's got to be a graph. If you're an organization where you've got a bunch of people who love to look at columns and numbers, those are great too. And by the way, Excel pivot tables are your friend. Excel pivot tables are the coolest thing in the world. If you don't know about them and are not using them, go learn. Go Google it. You can look at your data in like ways you would never imagine. In something that's so butt simple and it's built right into Excel.
Who else has a question?
I answered everyone's questions about marketing ROI.
Someone's got an ROI question.
I should have brought fish pictures.
Well, I have a question, Sean. So what's an average ROI? If a client spends $1, what can they? Have you figured that out? Is there?
It's interesting you say that. I got into a discussion with a group. This was probably 2 years ago, and curiously, it was on a fishing trip. Imagine that, but it was kind of an industry boondoggle fishing trip. So in this group, I had 2 guys who ran agencies, 2 clients, and 2 magazine publishers. And the discussion that started after dinner is, how much is a lead worth? We spent 4 hours going around that night, and we never came up with an answer. So it depends. What do you sell? How long is your decision-making cycle? How many buyers might be involved? So it's hard to say. And then the other one is there's a big difference between consumer and B2B. Mostly because in the consumer world, the selling cycle is usually somewhat shorter. Whereas on the B2B side, 18 to 36 month selling cycles are not at all uncommon. I don't know about you, when I went to buy that can of soup, my decision-making cycle was done. So.
Okay, so when you work with a client, what's a good way to make them happy, and then how do you show them the value so that they spend more and invest more? Like, what's kind of that process look like for you?
Well, so I think the place that process starts is with some discovery with the client, with asking the client, what's important to you, what's significant. Are you looking to grow your business within companies that you already are working with? Are you looking for net new names? Are you looking for example, on the financial services side, are you saying I want to grow boat loans by X percentage? But really kind of find out from them, well, okay, what is it that you're looking to accomplish? Why are you embarking on this campaign? What problem do you think you're solving? And then you kind of work back from there. Now, in some cases, they'll say, well, our most common metrics for that are this, this, and this. We did some work for a credit union up in Port Huron. And for them, what they said was a pretty simple sales pipeline thing. We'll run this marketing campaign, which curiously was for boat loans. We'll run this marketing campaign, and then we'll evaluate over the next 90 days what the trend is in our boat lending. Good news, their boat lending doubled in the next 90 days. So that's a good metric. And that's another one where I think correlating with sales is another good thing. I ran a campaign a number of years ago for a manufacturing company who unfortunately was in a big hurry to get the campaign out there in the field, and then sort of forgot to tell sales about it. Got all these leads and all these people calling in, and they all wanted to buy stuff, and sales went, huh? Now, the good news was this particular product, what it was is they found out that an existing product that they had was really, really good for manufacturing paint. Because paint is a giant pain in the ass to manufacture because it wants to dry. And it's worth a lot if you bought a gallon of paint lately. So these guys had this solution that was really great for paint. All of a sudden they start getting all these calls from all these paint manufacturers saying, hey, I got your thing, I want to see one of those. And sales went, fast forward 6 months, and sure enough, they saw a gigantic spike in paint sales. So sometimes it's as tight as that kind of correlation. That sometimes, that VP of sales is your VP of marketing's best friend. Or at least they ought to be. My wife loves when I answer a question with a question, by the way, so I've done a really successful job of that there. Who else?
All right, I got one for you. So
Okay.
what about the idea of anecdotal or qualitative data into your ROI measurement? I don't know if you put much stock in that when you're talking to clients? When you get feedback from people and say, hey, I loved your ad, or hey, I loved your product?
I put a ton of stock into that stuff, personally. Now, some of the premise of this is, if you take that kind of quantitative data to a CFO, they're going to look at you like you've got 3 heads, mostly. Unless you've got them trained really well, which is also, by the way, a good idea. Some of this is about, some of what I'm trying to tell you is, how do you train your leadership to say, hey, in my world, the way I show you what works is a little different than the rest of your world. But anecdotal is very good. It's very powerful. We actually have one client in the financial services industry, and a lot of their evaluation of success is what's the buzz they're getting from their branch managers. Are their branch managers saying, wow, you know, people are coming in and saying, hey, we saw the new campaign, or you know, things like that, or they're getting to notice us. The other one is, what buzz are they hearing from their competitors? So that's another one that's kind of out there. I think anecdotal is great, and I think if it's presented right, it's a nice way to show ROI to a leadership team, because it's real world. You know, here's what our real customers say, or here's what one new customer said to us, you know, as a result of that marketing effort. But you can't put those numbers with it that MBA is going on. I want column A to add up to column B.
You made an interesting remark about using sales metrics, and that kind of brought me to think about a larger point, particularly as I was listening to your answer to this question, which is, what about coalition building? So, you know, is it just you standing in front of the CFO justifying your expenditure, or, you know, can you kind of get sales and others who the CFO might listen to because that's a top line number and nobody wants to cut the top line?
And that's actually a really, really good point, and one that I would really hope you would all take away today. Sales is your friend. Sales is an unbelievably powerful part of any organization. They have a direct tie to revenue. They tend to get what they want. So if they're your friend and you've convinced them, hey, I can run this campaign that'll help get you into this new vertical market, and they're willing to go to management with you and say, yep, we're behind this, we've got sales initiatives that support this, your odds of getting the money to do that go way up. And I think that, you know, that's a historical problem. In the old world, I don't have the slide in this presentation, but I have one in another one that I've done. In the old world, there was marketing and there was sales. And the two just didn't meet that much, and there wasn't that much dialogue back and forth. Well, now, you know, you've got things like the internet and call centers and, you know, people doing live chat, and all of a sudden there are functions that kind of happen in the land of marketing that really in the olden days would have been called pre-sales. So we now are all sort of interlinked and kind of in bed with each other and have to figure out how to get along. So yeah, I think the best organizations are the ones where there's a collaboration. Actually, a few years back I worked with a CMO of a software company who apparently once in a meeting, I didn't hear this, I heard about it from people later, made the direct quote, F sales. Don't do that. Bad strategy. And that quote, of course, got back to sales. So I don't say that.
Hey, Sean, have you ever had a time where the sales people didn't want to give you the numbers, or it was hard to get information from the company that would justify your marketing efforts? And how did you overcome that?
It's a good question. It happens a lot. Where we're more likely to see it is companies who sell through independent channels. You know, so for example, insurance companies who have insurance agents who may represent multiple lines, they don't want to give you that data because they represent 5 other things. The Siemens division that I do work for has one segment of their business that's all sold through channel partners who are independent businesses, and they're usually pretty reluctant to give that data back, mostly because they feel like Siemens is going to use it to beat them up, which is what they do with it. So yeah, that can be a challenge, and I think that goes back to Bud's point, which is, you know, if you make friends with sales, if you help them understand, help me help you, then I think they're more likely to be forthcoming with that kind of data on what works. Part of it, frankly, in a lot of organizations I've seen is sales is just not used to anybody in marketing coming to them and saying, hey, what are you guys trying to accomplish this year, and how can I help you do that? Because at the end of the day, marketing's about selling stuff, or services, or whatever it is that you're out there doing. And I've seen a number of organizations where, you know, sales reaches out to marketing, or marketing reaches out to sales, and sales kind of looks at it like, I don't even know how to react. Awesome, thanks.
Who else has a question? Any more questions? All right.
Well, we almost made it.
That's good.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all for coming out.
Big round of applause. Thank you, Sean. So now we get to go around the room and you can introduce yourself. So I ask that you stand up, tall and proud, and tell us who you are, what you do. And then if you're looking for something, or if you have something to tell the group, you can share, and then we'll pass the mic and get all the way around the room. We'll start with Dave.
I'm Dave Menzo with Move Communications, and we move your brand forward through storytelling.
I'm Pete Hayes, and I'm a web developer and video editor at Move Communications.
I'm Bud Gibson. I created the search marketing program at Eastern Michigan University, trying to solve digital marketing problems, hire some of our students.
I'm Salami. I'm a student at EMU, and I'm happy Professor Gibson's search marketing workshop.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Foxworth from Arbor, and I just wanted to remind everybody, if you've not been voting in our Jump Starts Facebook contest, you've got 2 more days left. Bank of Ann Arbor is giving away $36,000 to area schools, so $3,000 each area schools. There's schools in Dexter, Swain, Plymouth, things like that. So get out and vote in your kid's school.
Hi, I am Ashley. I am new to Ann Arbor, so I am trying to get to know the marketing community around here and see where I can possibly contribute to a company in the area.
Tall and proud, huh? Susan Harris, I'm retired. I don't work anymore, but I used to do technical stuff, not marketing. So this was very interesting to me. Thank you. You can tell by my questions. Oh, I'm sorry.
Talk about not being tough and proud.
Really?
I'm Dave Murray, the big guy at Good Stuff Studios, Real Bold Branding. We're always looking to help entrepreneurs and small businesses. Our first meeting is always just to teach you a little bit about branding, so maybe you can do it yourself. And if you can't, call us. It's always based on personality first, position second, design third. So I guess that's it. I'm going to sit down now.
Hi, I'm Stacy from Dollarville, your local digital print shop. Thank you, Sean. That was an excellent talk, and I'm sure you heard Sean say that after you've done your emailing and your Facebooking and your printing. So make sure you have your postcards out and your brochures.
And just as a random unsolicited plug, Stacy saved my bacon last week. So if you need your bacon saved, she's a good person to call.
Thanks, Sean.
Hi, I'm Bob Ferran. I own business Bob Ferran Photography, and I'm commercial and advertising photographer.
I'm Caitlin Baxter. Currently, I'm looking for that together, and I'm looking for full-time work in marketing and markets.
Hi, my name is Jordan Pichu, and I work at Dexter Builders and help out with marketing there.
Hi, I'm Eric Shane. I'm with All Star Alarm. I'm in sales, but I'm studying marketing at Cleary University.
Hello, I'm Mark with CTS Companies. We service, sell, and install business phone systems, and we also help people with their voice and data.
I'm David Lieber with the Ann Arbor region of Dellum Suites, just on the east side of town. Great presentation. Thank you, Sean, for the information. It's like your stuff we're working on right now, so appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Peggy Feinweg. I own a marketing communications agency, very much similar to Sean's. It's called Market Strategies and PR. And this is my first meeting, so I'm glad to be here. I also am a soon-to-be graduate of Eastern Michigan University's Integrated Marketing Communications program. So I'm very happy about that.
Well, my name is Patrick McLaughlin. I'm an independent PR practitioner here in Ann Arbor. My company is called Caldo Communications. I also work with Peggy with her group Market Strategies, working primarily with technology firms that need to create awareness through media and generate collateral, media placements, analyst relations, things like that.
And I'm Roger Rayle. I do the video here and several other networking groups, one of which is Detroit New Tech tonight, and it's going to be at Grand Circus, downtown Detroit. We'll have 4 or 5 young companies presenting and what they're all about, and then they get, it's for 5 minutes, and then they get hammered for another 5 minutes by the 60 or 70 people in the audience. And then next week I'll tell you about something else going on. Here's Carter.
Carter Sherman, Frogman Studios, and I'm a commercial editorial portrait photographer. I don't fish, I run. Fish when I was a kid, fly fishing, anyway. And the images I shoot at these meetings go up on the group's Facebook page.
Alrighty. So my name is Derek Maribon, CEO of Ingenix Digital Marketing. We help companies reach their marketing goals through primarily digital stuff. And yeah, I enjoyed your talk a lot. I think really good real life examples, and I think you demystified ROI a little bit for us. So thank you very much.
Or took the wind out of your sails, one of the two.
Right. Yeah, and I thought of maybe why the attendance is low today. It could have something to do with the game that weekend, last weekend, because we talked about that last week. I don't know. It says the Spartan fan. But anyways, yeah, maybe the Michigan people didn't come. But no, there's Michigan people here, so that's probably not it.
Well, I'm a Central grad, so it's not me.
Yeah, it's not you. So anyways, but so next week, what did we have next week? I forgot to look that up. Does anybody know offhand? Let me just pull up my LA2M to go app. Because I'm sure it's someone good.
Ryan Schramm.
Who is it?
Ryan Schramm.
Oh, Ryan Schramm. Okay. Right, so next week we have a guy who you probably don't know. His name's Ryan Schramm. He's a Spartan. But he's talking about the rise of native advertising. He works for a company called IZEA, which is based in Orlando. And they handle all the sponsorships for celebrities. So, you want to pay Lady Gaga $20,000 to tweet about your product. They broker all those deals. So it's a very, very interesting business model. And he calls it native advertising. So I encourage you to come back for that. Should be a great talk. And thanks for coming today. Let's give Sean Hickey one last round.
If you want to see fish pictures, next month I'll be speaking at the Michigan Marketing Minds, which is the artist formerly known as the Marketing Roundtable.
Actually, they switched it back.
See, that's what happens when I skip a meeting. Anyway, I'm going to be talking about how demand generation is like fishing. So if you're like, I didn't get to see enough cool fish pictures today, and you want to come see them, and by the way, learn something about marketing and how to put a marketing program together, second Tuesday of the month, I can't remember the exact date, but there you go. Perfect.
At the Marketing Roundtable. And make sure that everyone goes to this search event. There's a waiting list if you haven't signed up yet. All right, everyone, have a good week. See you next time. Thanks. Thanks.